I ain't want to say nothing.
We live. Good evening, and welcome to the Positional Sports Talk Show Post. Live streaming on Facebook Live, Twitch, and our Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. It is March 1st, the first day of Women's History Month. And we are here to talk sports for the fans, from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. This evening, we'll provide our opinions and positions on the hottest topics in sports. My name is Big Reg. I got most of my posse in again tonight. I feel blessed. J3, what's going on, my brother?
What's going on, man? What's up, fellas? How y'all feeling?
All right.
Good, J3.
Let's get it in.
Got Ed in the building. What's going on, brother?
Nice to always see you guys every Tuesday. Look forward to it. Definitely. Let's talk some sports.
The professor's in the building. What's going on, partner?
What's happening, fellas? Man, not only did we just turn the page from Black History into Women's History Month, but it's actually the first day of meteorological spring. So God bless. Let's hit it. Praise the Lord.
And last but definitely not least, Sense is in the building. What's up, partner?
What's good, fellas? Ready to talk some sports, and it is also Taco Tuesday.
Hey, you sure you want to bring your boy in this early in the show, man? Because he done had a rough couple of weeks.
It is what it is.
Okay,
you know,
okay.
I don't hide for no topics.
Put my beef in your taco.
Well, this evening, we're going to give you some quick hits. And unfortunately, we generally don't go into try to stay apolitical as much as possible, but we got to talk about what's going on with Russia and the invasion of Ukraine and how it affects sports.
Yes, sir.
Give you a little bit of the NCAA basketball update because it is March, so the madness is coming. Got to talk some NBA. We are definitely not going to get out here without the professor's post takes that we missed last week, but waiting for this week. And, of course, our final post of the evening. So, as always, we appreciate you tuning in. Please sit back and relax. Enjoy Post on the Positional Sports Talk Show channel. So, real quick, the NFL has got a few things going on over the next couple of weeks. You know, even though the Super Bowl is done and the season's over, the NFL never sleeps. So, this week, the actual combine started today. For the first 2 days of the combine, you have interviews and physicals. So you've got all the top potential NFL draftees in Indy going through all that process. The on-field exercises and demos that they're going to be put through starts Thursday, and that runs through Sunday. And if you're a draft geek, and I geek out a little bit, watching who goes to the combine and shows off and drastically changes their projection, who doesn't show, who doesn't throw, who doesn't run. It's interesting to get a gauge. But this is also big-time business week for the NFL. While they're talking to future NFL employees, they're also talking to each other about potential trades. They're talking to agents about free agents that need for players that need their deals restructured or want new deals. So it's going to be a very busy couple of weeks. So stay tuned. Tuesday, March 8th is the last day that teams can franchise a player. So look for that to happen over the next week. You're going to see A bunch of players get franchise tagged, which they don't like. March 16th is the beginning of the official league year for 2022. But what that means is every team has got to be under the salary cap by then. So most of the deals, if not completely done by then, will have been pretty much agreed upon by the 16th, which is only less than 2 weeks away. So a lot is going to happen. Hugh Jackson and Grambling University stepped in it. They made a hire of former Baylor head coach Art Browse, and it didn't go over well. Actually, it went over like a lead balloon to the masses. And I'm not going to go into a whole bunch, but if you just research Baylor and Art Browse, and you'll find all you need to find. But as of Monday afternoon, after surviving the weekend, Art Browse supposedly decided to resign because he said he didn't want to be a distraction to the university. And you said, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you get yours in.
I'm not going to take long on this, but I'll just my question is whatever happened to second chances and redemption? Like this country and is all about giving people second chances. And obviously, I mean, are you sitting here telling me, or is the country sitting here telling me that this man admits his mistakes, is not afforded another opportunity to coach again, not even in a head coaching capacity, but as an assistant? He's not able to earn a living. Is this where we're at? I mean, to me, it doesn't make any sense. That, look, I understand that you have to understand, the victims are, you got to consider the victims and, what was done. And as the head coach in any program, you're in charge. So you should know what's going on within your program. And you usually do. But I just think that, at some point, we have to, if the work was put in to change and you're sincere about that, at some point you have to show a person some compassion and let them try again, or her again. I just think that I mean, is it like a death sentence where he never gets an opportunity again? I don't necessarily agree with that. That's just my opinion.
I mean, I have a couple of things to say about that. Number one, I understand it's about relationships. Hugh Jackson had him up in Cincinnati when he was coaching up there, doing some offensive consulting and all that kind of stuff. My issue is that do we really know that there was some real contrition on behalf of Art Browse for the things that went on at Baylor? That's number one. I think if that was a question that was truly answered, and we can sit here today and say, look, he admitted his mistakes. He knew that was his ship. He allowed it to sink. He came out and he really took the bull by the horns and accepted it. But remembering that case, I don't ever remember any of that actually happening. I remember he got fired, but I don't remember him really saying, you know what, it was on my watch. I might not have known about it, but I'm responsible for it. And now that he comes on an HBCU campus, and we don't even have to get into that story. But the fact is that, and we just ended Black History Month, we are always the first people to forgive, even when that's not afforded to us in the same process. But my thing is, you're bringing a man that was a part of a culture, and do we want that same culture to be on this campus? Not saying it's going to happen, but the optics of it and how it looks, and to bring that to one of our schools when we're trying to raise the bar at how we're viewed and how we actually do things. I just thought the timing was really terrible to give this man an actual second chance. And it was a distraction, and they should have read the room and not even made this type of hire, even though he may be deserving. I just think that the whole timing of everything just was poor in how it was executed.
Did since you or Joe want to jump in?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say that while you and Professor Ed may see this as a second chance, a lot of people see it as a third and a fourth, because some may not see this as his first offense. Like, he's been silent, and especially when it involves women, on a lot of things. And the other, I think, kind of slap in the face is that, especially for it to be at an HBCU when you're being indicted for not being a true leader of men, so to speak, and especially in this case where young Black men actually went to jail like from these incidents, and then you're going to an HBCU as an assistant coach, mind you, but still, helping to lead young Black men. It's not a good look.
Yeah, I'm with you 95% of the way, Ed. The issue is when it's so egregious, sometimes there's no coming back. 31 documented sexual assaults over a 4-year period. And the investigation by that law firm, and y'all can do your research and look at it, showed that he had knowledge of a lot of that situation and actively worked to suppress the information or didn't pass it on. So it wasn't like it just happened. It was 1 or 2 incidences, kind of like Izzo at Michigan State, and kind of blew over. This was 31, and 3 guys went to prison over this, and there's still some other suits out there that not only got him lost his job, the AD and the president of the school all had to lose their job over that. Sometimes there's so things that you just can't come back, at least not to the same level, even as an assistant. That's just to me. Being a girl dad, that's just to me. Because he would have been walking. If I'm a dad of one of them girls, he wouldn't be walking right now. That's just me. And we'll move on from there. This Saturday, UFC 272, March 5th, 10 p.m. main card, coming from you from lovely Las Vegas on ESPN pay-per-view. The main event is former teammates and former roommates who become blood enemies. Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal should be interesting. These two have been going at each other for about almost 2 years now, and it's gotten uglier and uglier. So if you like UFC, this is going to be one of the ones. This ain't going to be no technical fight. This is going to be we trying to hurt each other. So
publicity. It's a publicity stunt.
I hear you. They could have got me, but we'll see. It's hard to keep that kind of energy going for a couple of years. The co-ed main event has Edison Barbosa against Bryce Mitchell, so decent card. Lastly, I want to really quick talk about boxing. My first love sport let me down over the weekend, man.
Again? Are you surprised? Really?
Josh Taylor got the old hometown decision.
That was disappointing.
Split decision in Ireland against Jake Catterall. Catterall threw more punches, landed more punches, and scored the only knockdown in the fight, and lost.
Josh. I had such high hopes for you.
Well,
but I do have a suggestion. Tank Davis, if somebody knows Tank Davis and listen to this, please tell Tank Davis he need to call Josh Taylor immediately and have PBC make that fight. Because he went up, he's got one of them fake 140 belts. Now's the time. Get Josh Taylor. Let him fight at home because he can knock Josh Taylor out. And he can be the undisputed 140-pound champion and leave 135 alone because 135 is getting real interesting.
You think Tank want that smoke?
Oh, yeah. I think Tank can beat this dude.
I think you're ready.
Well, why not? If 135 is getting interesting, why not just stay at 135 and clean it up?
Exactly.
Because why fight 4 or 5 lines when you can go fight one guy and be an undisputed champion?
Oh, okay.
One and done.
What sense does that make?
Is that the Alvarez route?
Exactly. He got all the belts. He's vulnerable. He showed more flaws than I've ever seen. So it's time.
Do you think maybe he just took the foot off the gas, Big Reg? Kind of like took this fight for granted. Think he was a coaster.
No, I think the pressure fighting at home gets to some people, and then the pressure fighting at home and the first time defending all your belts. So, but yeah, he didn't look good. On Showtime later that evening, Chris Colbert, who is an up and comer, uses the nickname Prime Time.
Blasphemous.
Oh my goodness, Prime Time got destroyed.
Oh my!
There you have it.
Hector Luis Garcia, a guy that took the fight on 3 weeks' notice, because this was supposed to be a unification bout, but the other title holder got injured, and he got destroyed.
Did it go the distance?
It went the distance. He didn't get knocked out, but he was actively trying not to get knocked out and just surviving at the end. The good news was our local boy Gary Antoine Russell looked real good, and he's at 140 also. If Tank don't want it, if I'm Gary Antoine Russell, I'm calling him too, because he looked really, really good in the co-main event on the Showtime card, and he knocked out Victor Postal in like the 9th round, and Postal went the distance with Taylor, and it was a close fight. So,
real quick, hit before we go. I saw that Canelo and Bivol finally set a date for their bout, so that'll be a good one too.
Yeah, that was already a done deal. The issue was the second part of that deal, which is if Canelo wins his fight and Triple G wins their fight, they're supposed to do their trilogy fight in the fall, but Triple G was asking for more money. Bivol was like, bring him on up here. He's stupid enough to come back to light heavyweight. Bring him on up here. I take that payday and knock his head off. That's a lot. You talk about somebody biting off a whole lot. Bivol is a monster, so it'll be interesting. All right, we got to turn the topic a little bit to something that's not really fun to talk about. Last week, Vladimir Putin directed the Russian military to invade Ukraine. And if you've watched any type of news, it's crazy what's going on over there. And the world right now is on a situation where it could get really, really crazy if this is not stopped. So, but we're a sports show, so let's talk about how it affected sports. I got to give a shout out to one of my favorite sports. Every now and then y'all hear me talk about it, Formula One. Formula One was the first sport entity to come out and say, hey, we're not good with this. First, it was two of the drivers who said, I'm not racing in Russia in the Russian Grand Prix, and I think Formula One should cancel it. The next day, they postponed it, and then the backlash came when all the big drivers was like, well, you can postpone to do what you do. We're not going to Russia. And then it got canceled. Since then, the floodgates have opened up. I mean,
that's good. That's good.
I did not expect the sports world to come together the way they have against this outright attack of a sovereign country. So what are you guys' thoughts on what's going on over in Ukraine right now?
Putin is
before we even get involved in that, I do want to say this, because it flashed in my head as these events were unfolding and news reports started coming out, particularly from the sporting side, which I guess we're going to try to limit it to. But one thing that struck me is the Klitschko brothers. One is the mayor of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. Immediately took up arms. Usyk,
current heavyweight champion,
put his career and life on the line and took up arms. Lomachenko put his who was in line to fight the Australian champion, the champion of in his weight class. I guess that's 135, right?
Yep, lightweight champion. Yep.
He took up arms. So what dawned on me, I was like, these men they don't have to fight. They have nothing. There's no
incentive.
I can't say incentive because the incentive is for their people and their country. So that's a huge incentive. But they don't have to be there. They're all of them are insanely rich. But it just shows you how much it means to them to defend their country, to defend their people. I just think that just says so much about the type of fighters they are. Why they are so successful in their chosen sport can be directly linked to their what's inside them. And I just thought that was amazing. And I'm like, when I've seen them perform countless times, beginning with the Klitschko brothers, it's known. Something clicked inside me and said, well, that's why they were champions, because they're champions outside of the ring as well as inside the ring.
Well, you also got to think about this too, Ed. These sports individuals, they all represent their flag and their colors when they step into the ring, right? And so, with that being said, that should have gave you some indication of how serious they are about their country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was a good show of solidarity, not just from the Klitschko brothers and Usyk and Lomachenko, but in the sports world in general, just showing that solidarity of like, hey, Ukraine, we stand with you, and that was a good thing to see.
Yeah, not just stand with you.
Yeah,
these people are literally signing up. Let me get the Territory Defense Battalion. They are in fatigues with AK-47s or whatever military rifles. They ready to fight. And I mean, you talking about the Klitschko brothers. These are Hall of Fame former heavyweight champions, both of them, Vitaly and Vladimir. We ain't standing for this. Also got to shout out Bellator, which is a rival of UFC. Their welterweight champion, who just won his belt this fall, Yaroslav Amosov, got his family out of the country and went back and joined the battalion to fight.
They want to represent their country. You can't look down on them. You got to really applaud them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's crazy that they have to do this.
It is, and I just want to also just quickly say the reports that I've been hearing about, especially the citizens of color that are there that have been refused entry into other countries like Poland. Like I find that to be disturbing. I don't know how true that is, but I do know that one neighbor area kid from DC who's playing out in the Ukraine was having some trouble, like getting out of there. So
yeah, just hearing everything that you guys have said, this is something that has affected me greatly, because I think about what these people are going through. And I think about the struggle that we have here in this country, and how so much blood had been shed for us just to have the rights that we have. And for people to elevate a president like Trump, somebody who is in lockstep with Putin, and you got people in this very free country talking about they want to bring on civil war and race wars and all this kind of stuff, and you're infringing upon people's freedoms. You're infringing upon their rights to live in a way that they see best, without tyranny and without being held under somebody's boot, right? So when I see a player that we idolized in this community here in Washington, D.C., Alex Ovechkin, not take a definitive stand against what this dude is doing, and then we're reminded that he supports him, that's his president, he campaigned for him, all that kind of stuff. And then you look over at Andrei Rublev, a Russian tennis star, who took a stand, wrote on the camera screen to stop the war. He took a definitive stand, not as big as a Russian star or athlete as Alex Ovechkin is, but he made his point by doing what he did. And when you see so many people who are leaving this country, the confines of America, and they're going back to fight for their country people, not just people who have millions of dollars playing sport, but I'm talking about citizens who were comfortable here in America who have now gotten on planes to go back. And since you raised a point that struck me to my core about the young man from Prince George's County who can't even get home. He tried to get home 3 weeks ago and was not allowed to get out. He's going back from his apartment to a bomb shelter. And not only that, you have Africans from African countries that can't get out of the country that are trying to get out. They can't get across the border. They're being denied because of the color of their skin. So these are the types of things where we need people that have the loudest voices, that if anything else goes down, you shouting at the top of your lungs. Now that you see things like this going on, I want to see more people in the world of sport transition over into politics and let people know we are not doing this. Kudos to FIFA and the governing bodies over there, UEFA of the soccer world, which is the biggest sport in the world. They're pulling their championships. They're pulling all of their things that they had planned to bring like thousands and millions of people together under sport. This is why I go, and Ed, you and I, we connect on this so hard. This is why we go back to Dr. Harry Edwards, right? When we talk about how the Black athlete transitioned, how things went in this country in the civil rights movement, and how it's incumbent upon them today to learn their history because the fight isn't over. Then when we see things like this going on, let me ask y'all this. What's to stop something like that from happening in this country if we put that man back in office after Biden? What's going to happen with us in this country? Are we going to fight for things that we know are righteous for us to be able to live and the freedoms that we've shed, blood has been shed for so many of us to be on? That's why I understand what these men and women are doing in the Ukraine, standing for their country, because it's a fight for their lives. That's why I know I've raised this, because I wanted us to talk about it. It connects with sports, but this is also real life. And people got to really understand that sports and real life, we try to separate them, but they're intertwined in so many ways. And we got to stop ignoring the fact that these folks that play sport are human beings too.
I will give Ovi a small mulligan. When he was asked those questions, his mother, father, wife, and kids were in Russia. Because Ovi keeps his home in Russia, and after the season, Ovi goes right home to Russia. So in a situation where you know your family's still in the country and you're dealing with a man
Putin is
like that, it's tough to put your family in harm's way. That's all I'm saying.
Here's another thing that was struck me is it was silent, but it's speaking very, very loud. We just came off the Olympics. Literally, we just ended the Olympics. According to intel, Russia's build up to this invasion was not a secret within the military circles.
No, everybody knew it.
So this was no secret. So as Russian athletes, as the world was in China at the Olympics, this man was plotting to invade Ukraine unprovoked. And it calls into question is, why was it eerily silent then? You know, and what was China What were they thinking? Like, what?
And they abstained.
They've
in
been
the vote.
They've been eerily quiet.
Well, it hadn't been quiet. They actually been doing military maneuvers over Taiwan.
No. Well, that's yeah. I'm talking about the Russian issue, not the Thai. Yeah,
but I think they're connected. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, they're definitely connected.
I think they were both are well informed on what they plan on doing.
It was just a matter of time of when it was going to happen.
Then I don't understand why they just didn't just boycott the entire Olympiad. I don't understand why these countries now that are imposing sanctions and offering aid, economic, military, etc.
Save face.
I don't understand.
It's all about saving face
And money.
Right.
And money.
I think they were scared.
Of course they are.
Oh yeah,
I think they were scared of Russia and Putin and China, and were trying to convince themselves that they really wouldn't do this. He did it.
The last
three Olympics, he's done this.
Well, Europe should know better.
Mm-hmm.
The world should know better, but particularly Europe. The last time that a tyrant practices aggression, you've seen this before, and this is not new. Putin is not no genius. You see what I'm saying? He's not doing anything. He's not creating something that hasn't been done before. We've been at this point before. In 1936, when we had the Olympics in Berlin, Hitler was clearly planning the next stages of that atrocity that was the Third Reich. So we've seen this before. Aggression, buildup of military, appeasement. It's
classic example of a bully.
Yeah,
true bully.
It's sad, and I just hope, and I don't know why I hope, but I hope that the rest of the world continues to, with the exception of China, continues to act as one, because that's the only thing keeping him from, once he's finished Ukraine, Poland's next,
right?
And he's gonna keep on going.
Yeah.
So, and then we're in a whole nother situation where this whole world has changed, and we're back in a world war again.
Yeah.
I'm also got prayers up, and hopefully you guys, everyone can put prayers up for the WNBA players. A lot of people don't realize that WNBA players play overseas, and their main paychecks and their main income comes from them playing overseas in China, Yugoslavia, Ukraine, and Russia is the biggest women's basketball league with some of the highest paid players. And right now you've got WNBA players stuck in Russia that their agents are trying to get them out. Some of them have been able to get out, but some of them haven't because they're worried about what could happen, and they get stuck, and people are stopping flights from Russia. So it's a mess.
It's that right there. It's Women's History Month. The WNBA should not have to have their players leaving this country to go overseas to earn a living. It should be done right here in this country.
Yeah. Speaking of WNBA, since you brought it up, stupidest thing, the WNBA fined the New York Liberty because the owners of the Liberty decided to do right by their players in the second half of last season and chartered them flights. Because they said, A, we can afford it, and B, our players deserve it. They got fined originally $1 million. It was cut down to $500,000 because they broke the CBA multiple times because they were chartering their players' flights.
Wow.
As opposed to what?
They fly
commercial. Yeah.
Commercial, not only commercial, they fly coach.
Yep.
You got to be.
Players have to pay their own way to upgrade to first class of business.
Well, yeah, Kyrie. That's the area I give Kyrie Irving credit for. He will step up and do stuff like that. Take on the bill.
That's terrible.
So this has got out into the public, and it's a terrible look for the WNBA, which means it's a terrible look for the NBA, because you got supposedly half of the owners saying, We want to charter fights for the players. These are professional athletes. And the old guard saying it's not making money, we're not trying to spend any money. It's just crazy how they're willing to treat women professional athletes. So let's move on to college. For you college basketball fans, women's game, 4 to 5 power conferences start their conference tournaments this week. The ACC, Big Ten, Pac-12, and SEC all start their conferences. Actually, most of them start tomorrow, and they'll go through the weekend. The Big 12, the other Power 5, will start next week. Give you a quick rundown. Right now, the potential number 1 seeds for the NCAA tournament are number 1, South Carolina, who's only got 1 loss, followed by Stanford, NC State, and Louisville. Yes, the ACC has two teams looking at number 1 seeds in the women's. Number 2 seeds, Baylor, which is a great story because Baylor lost their Hall of Fame coach who left there and went to LSU. Brought in a new coach and still getting it done. They won the Big 12 championship regular season. LSU, another great story. So Kim Mulkey leaves Baylor. LSU was a dumpster fire. She turns LSU around. If it wasn't for South Carolina, they might have won the SEC. UConn is a problem. Paige Beckers is healthy, working her way back into shape. The freshman phenom from DC, Ozzie Fudd, is doing her thing now. If UConn gets healthy, they're going to be a problem. I mean, they're going to be a problem. Then Iowa State. Then the number 3 seeds, now ended with this, University of Texas, Michigan, our local University of Maryland Terps, who are playing good ball now, and Iowa are all set up for number 3 seeds. So check out the ladies. Again, most of the conference tournaments start this week. You get to see some great ball. And if you want to watch the creme de la creme, first you got to check out University of South Carolina. And their All-American forward, Aaliyah Boston, who's averaging almost 17 points and 12 rebounds, just broke the SEC record for 22 straight double-doubles, breaking Sylvia Fowles' record, which is big shoes to fill. Or you can check out the Big Ten and sophomore guard Caitlyn Carr, who leads the country not only in scoring 27.5, which she led the country last year as a freshman, she's also leading the country in assists this year. If she continues this through the conference tournament, she'll be the first female ever to lead the country in scoring and assists through the regular season, and join Trae Young as the only other player ever to do that in the NCAA tournament.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Saturday, the madness started. It wasn't March yet, but in the men's basketball, the madness started Saturday. 7 of the top 10 teams lost. The top 6 were all on the road, and all 6 got defeated.
Imagine
First time that's ever happened.
Imagine that.
So it was a bloody Saturday. But that just lets you know that there's no dominant teams.
It's up for grabs
in men's basketball, and there's a legitimately 10 to 15 teams that can win the NCAA this year.
Yeah.
That makes for a great tournament.
Oh, for sure. A great March Madness because, anybody can get it.
So is Gonzaga going to come back and try to regain what they lost last year?
They've never been a legit number 1 to me. It's like they just always end up like really number 1 by default. You got the big tall tree and what I forget his name, Timmy, that he does his thing, but it's like Gonzaga's not. They don't scream like legit number 1 to me. Like whenever I see them,
flashy to be effective though.
No, I'm just saying. But you just saw last Saturday them getting knocked. Pretty much getting their lunch money taken by St. Mary's, another 23 ranked team. But Gonzaga is always that team that gets knocked out either in the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, Sense. But this is why I love college football as opposed to college basketball. As far as the regular season is concerned, the regular season in college basketball means very little.
Mhm.
Except if you're Georgetown. But the regular season.
Come on,
y'all gonna get me. I got killed about my Georgetown.
Come on,
Okay, my bad.
Since you brought it up,
Hold on.
in the conference,
Oh, okay.
you got to go. You can have 5 years. I'm sorry, Pat. You had 5 years, Pat.
So my point was,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But my point was, college basketball during the regular season to me is like, just get into your tournament, have a above 500 in your conference, maybe top 3, top 4, and you good to go, which makes for a great tournament. It sets up for a great tournament because anybody can win, and that's what creates the madness. Mm-hmm. As opposed to college football, where every weekend is vital. And that's why I don't want expansion. Number one is because these games actually mean something. Even if it's a cupcake, they mean something because it's basically, you basically have a tournament every weekend, because if you lose, you might not make it into the playoff. As opposed to college basketball, we have a bloody Saturday like we did, or bloody weekend like we did last weekend. And none of those teams are not going to be in the tournament. All of them who lost will be in the tournament. So it's really, we lost, but we got another chance or 3.
Good point.
I hear you. I'm just looking forward to it. I mean, if you're fortunate enough to be in a situation where you're teleworking, starting this week, Thursday through next week, you're going to have a lot of opportunity to watch college basketball, men's and women's.
I just hope Michigan gets in. I hope they just at least squeeze their way into the tournament.
Yeah, Michigan going to have to win, I think, at least one game in the Big Ten tournament, possibly 2, to confirm a spot.
Shoot, Michigan, North Carolina.
Any teams that you think have an outstanding chance of dominating Big Ridge?
I don't think there's going to be a dominant team. A lot of teams have injuries. Mm-hmm. The sentimental thing is going to be for Coach K. This is his last year. Matter of fact, this Saturday is going to be the last time UNC plays Duke for Coach K. They rank number 4 currently. So a lot of people going to be pushing to see them. And that their young freshman phenom is a beast, and he will be a top 5 NBA pick. So they got a chance. I like Baylor. What Baylor did last year, when they got to the tournament, Baylor bullied everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They did.
They can ball, and they bullied them.
UCLA is my sleeper. I like Johnny Uzang because they actually made some noise last year too.
They've been having a rough year this year, so they're not the same team. But nobody's really just that's the team I think is going to win it. I just like the toughness of Baylor, even though they had to reload and bring in a bunch of people from the other different programs because they hit that transfer portal hard.
What about University of Houston? Do you think they're going to come back and be as effective as they were last year?
They got a good team, but they also lost their top 2 players. So are they going to be tournament tough? That's going to be the thing. How many of these teams are tournament tough? Because Houston is similar in a frame of Gonzaga, where their conference isn't that tough. Mm-hmm. So they don't get that tournament week in, week out conference toughness. So when they get to the tournament, it's kind of hard to see. When you playing in the Big 12, you got to play Kansas State and all them, playing in the Big 10, playing the SEC, you got to bring your game or you going to get embarrassed.
What about University of Oklahoma? You think they're going to come back and produce?
Nah.
And speaking of the SEC, what happened to Auburn?
They still up there.
Mm-hmm.
They got full of themselves. Got to number 1. They got full of themselves and then got brought back down to life, but they still got a shot. It's wide open. Again, it's wide open.
I like Bruce Pearl, so I'm rooting for Auburn.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll talk more next week about what happened in the women's tournaments, conference tournaments, and definitely get you appointed for the men's tournament, conference tournaments. Let's talk about the NBA. Did y'all, John Morant, John Morant is just put into a whole nother gear over this past weekend. Did y'all see what he did to Jacob Portal yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on him. Don't sleep on him.
Dunking on the 7-footer coming from the side. Oh,
Yes, sir.
He got hops. He got
Yes,
hops.
sir.
It's
Don't
crazy.
sleep on him.
It's crazy. Memphis is going to be a problem.
They're already a problem.
They're young and hungry. Yeah. They're what, and I said this before. They're what. I'm sorry, Ed. They're what the Phoenix Suns were last year. That's what Memphis is this year.
But the question is, are they going to be able to continue throughout the playoffs? That's the question.
Well, I think they will, J3. But the question is, will they be able to continue moving forward like long term? But I actually think that they want to be in Memphis. That's like weird to hear someone say that. Yep. Although Memphis is a fun town, but they actually want to be there. And how many stars actually want to be in Memphis? I mean, we've seen stars before, either pass through or say, hey, I don't want to do that. Well, we know firsthand that when they were the Vancouver Grizzlies, we seen Stevie Franchise was like, I don't want to deal with that. Now that's Vancouver, not Memphis. But I'm just saying it's a small market. They're locked in the West with traditional behemoths, not behemoths obviously this year. And they're young, they're hungry. I love how they play. They rally around Ja. Yeah, so.
But what makes the difference is they play as a team, and I think that's the reason why they want. Right, and they want to stay there because they're playing as a team. It's no I in team, which we all know, but they literally pass the ball, make sure that everyone scores, and they play defense.
Yeah. But make no mistake, I think that in the NBA, it's a unique situation that where you can get that one superstar that's just different, and he can literally transform a franchise. Because look at, right, but like Orlando, they've been perennial losers since Shaq left. Mm-hmm. They've been picking just as high as Memphis every year, and no results. The Pelicans, eat no results. They haven't really been good, anything significant like good since Chris Paul left. Yeah. So,
I think this is also part of the Milwaukee effect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
people saw how Giannis was loved by his community and stayed and rode and grinded and built a team, and they built the team around him. They kept grinding and they knocked the door down and finally won a championship. I think John's like, yeah, we can do that right here in Memphis. Yeah, we got a younger team with a little bit of veterans, having Steven Adams, veteran center.
Helps. Yeah.
They've taken all the pressure off of Jaren Jackson Jr., because he was supposed to be the savior. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But John's taking all the pressure off him. You just do your
and Desmond Bain. Man,
they D up everybody, and they long as hell. So, yeah. If you haven't seen the Memphis Grizzlies, check them out.
Yeah, everything all in good. Since you mentioned Phoenix, to me, they look more like the Atlanta Hawks from last year, being led by Trae Young. And because his game was crazy last year, just like Ja is this year. But I just think that when they get up against one of them big boys in the playoffs, you're going to see a whole different type of defensive game. I mean, he'll still get his, but I think they'll be neutralized to the point where even though they might look like contenders right now, I think when it's all said and done, they're going to get put out at some point in the playoffs. I mean, I like his game. I mean, I when I watch him, I'm often wondering why we can't get that DC. It just feels so sad. And if they don't get things together in Memphis now, then we just going to be looking at another situation where you look at Portland and now you got to have a fire sale because they didn't, get everything around your boy Dame Dollar that was needed to win the championship. Another small market, you got players in their prime, but How is it actually going to play out? See, I hear you, Big Reg. What was done in Milwaukee just can't be done everywhere else. And that's why it's so beautiful up there, how they grind it out and got it done.
I see something different from Ja. I mean, and maybe I'm just a prisoner of the moment, but I think, like, you know, to your point, Big Reg, you know, that grow where you're planted type of mentality. Like, you know, the city is embracing me. We some young kids getting it out the mud. We banging. We showing we not scared. You know, that can be an infectious personality that, you know, attracts people, you know, to Memphis and has them the way how Steph and Clay eventually changed that culture in Golden State, where they started winning championships. Like, yo, this is something we can get behind. And I think that can be the same effect in Memphis.
Right, but that happened fairly quickly. It didn't take a long time for that to develop. Ask DeMar DeRozan about his time in Toronto. They kept knocking on the door, but couldn't get over the hump. Now he in Chicago playing lights out, and he seems to be a great fit and in a place where he can actually contend for a title. They had to bring in the Claw. Go ahead, Joe. They had to bring in the Claw in Toronto to change that atmosphere in order to get over that hump. But like I say, it's not always easy to do it like that. It's got to be that right mix, and ownership really got to go all in. That's what your man hoping for, but don't look like he gonna get that in LA anytime soon.
You just had to throw a jab in. Look,
I mean, we talking sports, right?
Nobody. While we on the subject, did anybody expect Russ to be that bad this year? Even you had your doubts, Professor, and you disappeared. Oh, there you go. Now, did anyone?
I think we all said that wasn't going to work.
You know, I said saying it wasn't going to work. And him performing the way he's performing,
he's saying it with his
two
chest.
entirely different things.
But you knew what you was. Look, I like Russ, first of all, but you knew everyone that knows anything about basketball, or particularly the talent evaluators, the GMs, they knew what they was getting when they brought Russ in. So
were you expecting them to miss layups?
Hold on,
dunks.
They knew what they were getting. They knew what they were getting.
Once you take the ball out of his hand, Russ loses all his confidence. And you can't have the ball in his hand when you got LeBron on the team.
But still, you can't miss a damn layup. It's like right there. The ball in the basket. You missing layups. You missing dunks. Like, dog, no one expected Russ to be this horrible. I did.
You heard the key factor is his confidence.
Yeah, it's all up here. And it's getting worse. But now that the fans are booing him, I'm sorry, Ed.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now that the fans are booing him at home,
Hey,
I hate to say it, but that's the point Kevin Durant was trying to make going to play with LeBron James. He just kind of sucks the life out of a team if you want to be that guy alongside him or challenge him to be the number one option.
See, but I can't place all this on Russ's feet. I didn't know we were transitioning to the Lakers, but I can't place this all on.
Me neither.
I can't. I'm not putting this on Russ. The reason the Lakers are horrible this year. I'm not doing that. What about Rob Pelinka? What about Frank Vogel? What about the trade deadline? What about the trade deadline came and went and they didn't make no moves? So apparently
you have made, Ed?
So apparently they think everything is copacetic.
What moves could you have made at the trade deadline?
You could have sent
realistic move.
You could have sent him to Houston and had John Wall. John Wall could play better than what Russ is playing right now.
But it's something. Instead of just doing nothing, it's because it's like Professor talked about the hiring of Browse. A lot of times it's optics. Even if it wouldn't have done it, if none of this would have resulted in any more victories, it's the optics. At least we're trying to do something. That's all that was.
Move on to a more important topic.
All right, but Professor, I will disagree with the Memphis, with what you said about Memphis as far as the playoffs, and they'll come up with a plan, because usually the plan in the playoffs is to tighten everything up and start hitting, and start being physical. But with the NBA right now, like, I mean, who's really like that team that you know?
Physical.
Oh, do we need to go back to last year when none of you picked Milwaukee to win the title? Because you picked all these other powerhouses to be able to put them out, and they put it together. They manned up. They got physical right back.
Well, first of all, a perfect storm happened for Milwaukee to win last year.
Milwaukee, if they don't get
like
Lopez
it happens
back,
for every championship team.
If Lopez doesn't come back, Milwaukee's got a problem because they have no size.
Well, that could change.
Well, size don't really matter, bro, because you look at Golden State; they ain't got a lot of size, and they still.
Golden State's in the West. You got to deal with. You got to deal with.
Better watch out for Denver. Though. A lot of people ain't talking about Denver. Denver
they
can
handle
up there.
Embiid.
Okay.
Speaking of Embiid, how long y'all think the honeymoon is going to last between him and Harden? Because the first 2 games,
until they start losing,
till they lose,
right? Until they start losing,
till Doc makes the wrong decisions as usual in the playoffs.
Dang, you breaking out the
daggers. Davis is coming in hot, man.
Okay.
Dagger.
Doc had Kevin Garnett 1 year. It took 7 games to win the championship. He won it. Nevertheless, he won it. He had Hall of Famer Ray Allen, Hall of Famer Kevin Garnett. Paul Pierce. He's a friend.
He just got elected to Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but
top 75. So you gotta give him his props, Joe.
Man, he the truth.
Well, AD's a top 75. Clearly, he's not.
Shut up, Ed. We're not talking about AD.
I'm saying.
We are talking about Paul Pierce. AD when healthy can still get you 25 and 10.
But these Hall of Fames are inflated.
You hope
these Hall of Fames don't even mean anything.
We agree on that.
We getting off topic. Some other quick NBA news, and we're gonna get to the post takes. Ben Simmons now is dealing with sore back issues.
How convenient.
Well, he's not in shape.
Yeah, in shape.
And the Nets was hoping that the new mayor would be able to work something out for their boy Kyrie Irving. Unfortunately, Mayor Adams said, "Look here, we're gonna ease a lot of these COVID restrictions, but if you're an employee, you got to be vaccinated if you're coming in one of these arenas." So that's a problem for
Kyrie
for the Nets. And God help them if they end up matching up with Toronto. He ain't gonna be able to play any of the games.
Nope.
Aren't they still in the 8th seed?
Yes, but things could change. So they're expecting KD back this week, but we will see. And last but not least, the Denver Nuggets are expecting guard Jamal Murray and forward Michael Porter back before the end of the year.
That's my sleeper.
That's going to be a problem.
That could change Denver's whole outlook.
Real quick, get it right though. A lot of an addition that is not being talked about, and he's they've been like undefeated since he's joined the squad. DeMarcus Cousins, he's definitely been contributing. Like you
talk about somebody that's
for how long?
I ain't even gonna get
for how long.
Can y'all get really?
Man, come on. I can't believe you brought him up. Okay.
I've
been since he joined. But go ahead, Professor. Yes.
All right, I'm gonna give y'all the condensed version. All right. So tonight is the post takes, and it's a great treat because we also have some Black women athletes that we can celebrate beginning the first day of Women's History Month as well. So as you know, we believe in Black History 365 days of the year. Because we know that we live this each and every day and we should be celebrated each and every day. So I want to put into your hearing 10 African-American pioneers in sports. Many of them some of them you might not know. The first one, of course, we got to give it to the LA Dodgers GOAT himself, Brooklyn Dodgers GOAT himself, Jackie Robinson. And we know his story is lovely. I wish Sense was parading his jersey right about now so y'all could see how great the man was and how he transitioned the game, how he made it one where our young girls and boys will want to play the sport of baseball. And once upon a time, it was called America's pastime. We know NFL is king now, even though ceremoniously. But Jackie Robinson is still the face of the Major League Baseball. We know we got some stuff going on with Major League, right? But every year, when every single team dons that number 42 and they take the field, it just gives you chills. Next person is Jesse Owens. We just mentioned the 1936 Olympics in Berlin. Thanks, Ed. You gave us a prelude. 5-time world record holder in track and field, Jesse Owens. We know his story out of Ohio State University. He has been one of the most transitory African Americans of all times. We know track and field got its grandeur and its lore from the stories of Jackie Robinson and watching him run and do his thing and stand up for civil rights during that time as well. And here's one that the youngins don't know about. Jack Johnson. He was the first black heavyweight boxing champ. Where's Queensberry Tony when you do that? This man was lights out. I'm talking about before Joe, before Muhammad, before Mike, any heavyweight boxer you can think of. This man was the king, and he did it in beautiful fashion. You got to know that he did it in a time during Jim Crow where a black man knocking out a white man, you know, even inside the ring, that still incited violence even when the matches were over. So even during a time with his personal safety, and he got threats to even throw his fights, but the man stood up like he should have and did his thing during that time. And then, you know, we got to go to the National Football League. The first black football players were Fritz Pollard and Bobby Marshall. You've heard us talk about them on this show before. So giving love to both of them for ushering in a new era, literally, of athletes of color that really changed the game. And then I want you guys, as you're hearing this, do your research on them, look up their biographies. Next in golf, the first black golfer on the PGA, and we just lost him recently, Charlie Sifford, you know, one of the heroes to I can't talk tonight, y'all. None than our very own Tiger Woods. It would see, that's why we should have held the Ukraine and sports stuff to the end, because I got highly emotional over that. So we got to know that Charlie Sifford, he broke down so many barriers. He was also great friends with the boxer Joe Louis, and he really transcended. And now we get to the world of the first black athlete to compete in international tennis. That's Althea Gibson. Notice I said first black. So whether male or female, she was the first black. Althea Gibson was a beast. So I know we just gave Will Smith the Oscar. Well, not yet. The SAG Award, and probably pretty soon the Oscar for his portrayal of King Richard. You know, the Williams sisters, his father. But Althea Gibson paved the way for black women in tennis. And then to the NBA, you got to give love to 11-time champion, player, and coach Bill Russell. He was also the first black coach in the National Basketball Association. He is an idol to so many. Then we go back to the Olympics. First African-American woman and first American woman, period, to win 3 gold medals at the Olympics. That's none other than Wilma Rudolph. Then we go down to Arthur Ashe, the first black tennis player to win 3 Grand Slams. That man was a beast. Go back and look at some of his footage and how he even won Wimbledon in 1975 and just changed the whole landscape. Then we got to go back to Gabby Douglas. Now, I know everyone celebrates Simone Biles, but before Simone Biles was Gabby Douglas, the first black gymnast to win individual all-around gold at the Olympics. So I'm going to cut it there. We want to salute all of these icons and heroes, not only of American history, African-American history, but all of sports. We salute them for everything that they represent even today, whether they're living or they're gone on. These are some of the things that we want to bring to light because, like I said earlier, the world of sports and real life, they intersect, and we got to keep them in harmony and make sure we keep lifting up our heroes who transcend the world each and every day. Those are your post takes for this week. Back to you, Big Rage.
Man, I like that. Real quick story that I read about Jack Johnson. Mm-hmm. Jack Johnson was the original monster of boxing. Mm-hmm. He was so hated that they used to literally tell him he was one of the few black people that had a car, and he didn't have a regular car. He had a fast car.
Mm-hmm.
There's a story out there that Jack Johnson was riding through an area, and the police pulled him over and wrote him a ticket. He gave him twice the money. And they looked at him and said, "Why are you doing this?" "So you don't have to stop me when I'm coming back through, because I'm going back through the same way I came in." Jack Johnson was that dude. So, yeah. All right, fellas, it is time for our post takes. J3, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, real quick, I want to give a shout out to the first Black African American Army General of the United States Army. Her name is Marsha Carol Martin Anderson. She was the first Black female general.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Ed, yeah.
I just want to shout out to you guys because, every week we come down this show and, the title of our show is opinions. That's a big part of what we do and what we talk about. And I'm just glad that we all have, none of us thinks alike, and we all have opinions, and we all have our takes. And I just appreciate you guys every week just making my mind think, challenging me, and challenging each other. So, hey, salute to you guys, and thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight. Be safe.
Thanks, Father. Professor.
Yep, I just want to end how I started with saluting all the women for this year's version of National Women's History Month. Definitely, I was looking for Miss Carolyn tonight, but we all know her impact on sports and how she has influenced us in the show. And she's certainly a part of that same history. And then I also want to salute my wife and your wives, because they have been pinnacle in us being able to be here on this show, on this platform. So as we're making history, they're making history right alongside of us. So salute to all of our wives for just putting up with us being on here, dealing with sports and making sure our passion is being displayed each and every week.
Absolutely. Thank you. Since you're
just disrespecting DeMarcus Cousins. No, but anyway, keeping in the spirit of saluting women, I just want to give a quick shout out to the hopefully soon to be first Black woman Justice of the Supreme Court, Ketanji Jackson, who President Biden just nominated. Let's hope this
Senate
confirmation hearing goes smoothly, no problems, and yeah, let's just pray on that. And also just want to give a quick shout out to Fayetteville State University, who won the CIAA championship.
And since the Lincoln ladies won the women's CIA, so
that was a good game. Good
up
stuff.
in Baltimore. Yeah, I heard that was a good weekend.
Yeah. And since that brings new meaning to no justice, no peace. They better put her in there.
Yeah. I'd like to send a thank you out to all the parents out there. One of the hardest things that you go through as a parent is letting your child go. Whether that's taking them to their first day of daycare, where they've been home with mommy and daddy, and grandparents, and leaving them with someone that you don't really know.
J. Wills.
Whether that's dropping them off first day at the new school, whether that's elementary school, junior high school, or the big one, college.
Yeah.
When you actually not just dropping them off, you're leaving them. And then the last time when they come back home from college or trade, whatever they're doing, they're back home, and then they make the big step, the real big adult step, where they move out for their career, whatever, and they move to a new city, new state, new country. And you have to let them go. So to all the parents out there, you want to protect them, but you have to let them open up their wings and fly, make their mistakes, and hope that you did the best you can do, and know that what you put in them will give them the strength to be able to make the right decisions and protect them. But it's hard. And I know for a fact because
Yeah.
I put my baby girl on a plane this past weekend, and it's hard. So congratulations, all the hard work the good parents out there do. All right, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in and listening. We appreciate your time and opportunity to share our positions on sports with you. We're here each and every Tuesday, 7 p.m. for our live show. Catch the live show on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, Twitch, right, Professor?
Yeah.
Mhm.
We there if you want to catch us live, but if you can't catch us live, you can also catch us podcast, Positions on Sports Talk Show. We upload all the shows, so you got 50 something, 60 something to choose from and growing. Please check us out. And also, you can always reach out to us on our Facebook page and our Twitter at Positions on SPO1. We love to hear from you. We'll see you next Tuesday. Same bet time, same bet channel. Be safe out there. We're still in the pandemic. Peace.
God
See
bless
ya.
you.